All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are from. Welcome to Chaotic Tuesday. And it already is starting out. The webcam. God, it either fails on H.264 or it fails on Motion JPEG. Okay, there we go. That was actually on that UVY or YUEY. You have to keep having to change it because all of a sudden it's just off. And it's just a simple Logitech camera. Can't wait till one of these days when I get a decent webcam and that. So, well, you can't start Tuesday stream chaos without some chaos. So that's my chaos. And yes, Carmine, there is there's chaos, KAOS, aptly named. But no, basically it's if you know my stream, so and the way I do things, something easily gets broken, and like the cam, and it looks like it's still a bit. Let's see, like a slight delay. Oh well. But let's see. What do I want to play? Some on Twitch. Gonna play some 90s rock, I think, today. Start with the longy November rain. Because it rained this morning. We had a nice big rainstorm here in Chicagoland. Something broken on Linux. No. Shocking. Shocking. Something broken. Yep, it happens. It happens on the best of them. I don't care what distro you're on. And there's going to be, mine never breaks. Well, I mean, I've been on Endeavor OS now for over 2 years. You're on Endeavor now, move from Fedora. Good move. Endeavor makes Arch relatively easy. I know, Carmine, you think.
Welcome following Steve to the stream.
Hello, Tony. What's up, my friend? Let's see. I just popped in to say hi. I have to go soon, fix wife's phone. She screwed it up. God. You can't live with them, and you can't live with them. I can easily say that because my wife's not home today, and she doesn't watch me. But I know somewhere out there I hear, I heard that. I heard that. But no, I mean, Endeavor is close to Vanilla Arch, but it's a real good team. As long as if you know what you're doing, you're fine. If you're like me, then you're screwed. I've learned a lot, but I've been on Endeavor for over 2 years, well over 2 years, I think now. But I've been looking. I have looked for. She will find out. She will. Well, you know what? I shouldn't always think I'm safe. I mean, she may end up going back and trying to watch a video. I know she has watched me live a couple of times while she's downstairs just to see how I'm doing. But I know she hasn't done it for a while. And yeah, she would smack me, but she's like, why do you gotta talk like that? It's a guy thing, honey. It's a guy thing. But family, friends, want nothing to fucking do with this. They don't want to watch me. Oh yeah. You're still streaming? Hey, you've been doing that for what? Well, 8 years now. 8 years? Really? But you stammer. Fuck off. But yeah, no, I love my wife greatly. We work well together. So, but Endeavor, is a good way to start out with Arch and stay on it. Ooh, just follow Kill Phil. Hello, Kill Phil. Kill Phil, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow.
Welcome Killful75 to the stream.
Good evening. Tony loves his wife sometimes. Well, it's like my son. I love you, especially when you're sleeping. And my wife will say, "Don't worry. No, Dad loves you very much." Guys, we don't love, right? Oh, Phil, what brings you to the stream? Thanks for stopping by. I do stuff on Linux and Windows. Right now, I'm on my Linux setup. I'm on Endeavor OS, Arch-based system. I don't recommend it for everybody unless you kind of know what you're doing in Linux. But I stream pretty well. I like it. I've been looking at going back to an Ubuntu-based system just for the plugins and the quick updates. And I'm not finding any Linux distribution, in an Ubuntu-based that compares to streaming on Endeavor OS between the performance and all that. But what I wanted to kind of talk about today, so I've been going back and forth, a lot of distros in that, going from Windows to Linux, from Linux to Windows, from Arch to Ubuntu. You got different OBS setups. The OBS setup that I'm on Arch is from the AUR, which maybe not everybody should be on or do. I cannot use the Flatpak version. It's okay, but there are not a lot of plugins because they have to be built specifically for Flatpak. Some have been able to get some to work, but if they're not in a Flatpak version, that's it. The Archbase is not always supported, but the developer, or not the developer, the packager that put together OBS, the OBS Studio Titan package, has the package that's pretty much close to being on Ubuntu, and he will help. He is in the Linux Discord forum, so they will help with that. Some of the other stuff, I don't know. You're just working with Win and Mac OS, Linux on home servers, Debian, but I didn't make the switch to Linux desktop. Don't ask me why. It's a life struggle. Use what you want. Use Windows, use Mac, use Linux, use all three. I don't, that's perfect. You use what works for you. Yes, there is malware in the AUR, or at least was recently. Yes, from what I understand from the forum, that right now, they have all updates locked down, that no one can update anything. I'm not sure that'll be fixed, or how soon that will be fixed. Majority, like I said, my OBS setup is OBS is from a person that's been on the OBS team for a while, doing Linux work. His works, I love, it's very Ubuntu-like. Ubuntu is your official Linux flavor. And then the second one is the Flatpak. Flatpak is missing a lot of stuff. But if you're a relatively simple streamer and don't do a lot of stuff like what I do, it works out fine. Unless one can learn how to package, do Flatpak packaging for the plugins, which the OBS team doesn't particularly want. They want the developer of that plugin to also Flatpak package it too. But of all the AUR packages I got, they're all mostly I have 49 of them, but 41 of them are for OBS alone, and that includes plugins. And Titan also packages up quite a few of the plugins, so I know those are safe. You switched today to Linux Mint. Yeah, I started wiping out my Linux Mint stuff. It just was not performance-wise what I need. There are issues with the bottles install of StreamerBot that I use. And it just performance-wise does not hold a candle to being on an Arch. So, moving around, I've kind of, for me, found a couple of shortcuts that help me move around. Now, you can import, export. You can export and then import everything. But there's a bit of a difference, especially we'll start off with Windows and Linux. So you want to go from Windows to Linux. Plugins, if you have the same exact plugins, now there are some plugins that you're not going to find, and we'll say that, we'll start out with that, you're going to an Ubuntu-based Linux system, whether it be Ubuntu itself, Kubuntu, Xubuntu, Ubuntu Cinnamon, Zorin, Linux Mint, Linux Lite, and any of those Ubuntu-based systems. And you install OBS from their personal package, find the PPA, you're going to get a lot of the Windows plugins to be packaged as Linux for the Ubuntu base. So thank you to all, especially a lot of the newer plugin developers that are doing that. But you got the biggest plugin developer for OBS is Exeldro. All his plugins also work on Linux. Finite Singularity, who doesn't have nearly as many, but has the most popular of the plugins out there. His also are packaged for Linux for the Ubuntu base. So if you have the same type of plugin, so you don't have to worry about moving one from another as far as plugins go. So if you have the same 10 plugins on Windows and you got those same 10 plugins on Linux, you're going to be fine there. Of course, have your plugins installed first. But what I've learned is that, especially going from Windows to Linux or going back from Linux to Windows, what is different is audio. Whether it's your mic or your audio output, they're both handled differently. On Linux, you do need to install a Linux Pipewire plugin to have a very functional audio. But when I move over, I actually delete all my microphones and all my setups, like if from YouTube Music, from StreamerBot itself. I delete all those. And I probably should have wrote this down. I was thinking about this all day. But actually, one of the first things you want to do is, so on your Windows, say we're going from Windows to Linux. So on your Windows system, do a backup. And if you've ever done a backup, it's just relatively simple. Let me go to my middle desktop here. If you go to Tools, no, take that back. Scene Collection, you got your scene, do an export. And you'll find out what folder you want to put it in. We'll say Documents for now, because that's what I did it. Where did the top go? Come on, there we go. Oh, come on. Oh, it wants to drag it all over the place. Shit. It's a JSON file. You back it up. You save it to whatever folder you want. Windows, of course, is going to look a little bit different, but you're going to save it to, a Windows folder. Save that JSON file. That way, if you have any problems, you can fix things relatively easily. Then I go in and say, like, just on this scene alone, I start deleting like my microphone, especially the display captures or window captures. There are very different between Windows and Linux, and very different in Linux between an X11 system and a Wayland system. The screen capture, display capture, that is all different. But if you leave in a display capture or Windows capture on Windows, I learned the hard way. Every time I tried to then delete it because it wouldn't work, my OBS would crash. So what I do is I just delete anything that's not the same in Linux. So I delete the microphones, I delete the monitors, any audio source that I have from some other application and set up, like I'm capturing, my YouTube music and all that. I delete all that. Once I delete everything that's not the same on the two systems, like everything else, like my scenes and all that, those are pretty much agnostic. You don't have to worry too much, even though like on Windows, they use text GDI for text sources. And on Linux, it uses like text freestyle, or if you use the pthread text plugin. But pretty much, if you leave the text in there, it will convert over. But if it don't and you have to remake that, it's not going to cause a problem. You can delete that easy. It's just where audio is concerned and display captures are concerned. Your OBS, for me, crashed a lot when I went from Windows back to Linux and I was copying that same system over. So I learned the hard way. So once you delete all those out, and you kind of got to see, you left all your scenes in there, then you can go and do another export out, name it a different, like here I have chat stream main, then name it chat stream number 2 or whatever you have it in, so you can separate the two. That's the one you're going to bring over to like Linux to do, or vice versa. What are you currently using for streaming, Linux or Windows? So right now I am on Linux. I am on Endeavor OS. I am currently in the process of rebuilding my Windows, because what I did was I have been for years horrible on naming things. And I don't always keep up with my naming. And when I have to find something, I can't find it. So I just put blank scenes in where I have like these nesting scenes, DSK scenes. I have certain masks that I use, a soundboard that I create here, HTML stuff that I use, and then my webcams. But I renamed everything so it's easy to find. Why switch back? I was doing fine. I have been streaming on Linux from when I first started. October will be my I forget what date. I think it's October 4th will be my 8-year anniversary of streaming, and majority of that was on Linux. But I didn't do what I did today. I didn't use StreamerBot at the time, which is a great thing. I can do all sorts of like fun little actions, and just run audio and video. Boomer. Yeah, I am a boomer. What can I say? And as I learned more of that, my streaming had changed. Windows, everybody hates kind of Windows, and they're coming over when I don't care. I think of it as a tool. It's not my daily driver. Linux is my daily driver for doing pretty much everything on except streaming. But then I went and for a year or so, I was strictly streaming on Windows because I got tired of the workarounds that I had to do on Linux. Which which some people find it real easy. I do not. I'm learning stuff, and I have done stuff that in the 10 years that I've been on Linux that I've never done before. Scripting and some coding, yes, with the help of doing some vibe coding with AI. But everything's designed for Windows, and most of the plugins work great on Windows because they're built for Windows first, and then the developer makes it for Linux and then for Mac. But performance-wise, and because I have an NVIDIA card, and I was so wanting to use the NVIDIA AR stuff, like the background removal and that I had stayed on Windows for a while. Plus, I really did get I got Linux depressed. I just couldn't do it anymore. It was my daily driver, and all my content stuff and all that, watching Discord, all that's done on Linux. I'm only in Windows when I'm streaming or building stuff for my stream. So I had a goal to try and get my Linux setup as close. You're never going to get your exact streaming setup that you have on Windows on Linux. If you use a lot, if you game a lot, there's going to be a lot of differences. You're just not going to get the same, but you can get close. So on Windows, and using StreamerBot, because StreamerBot is made for Windows, it's just integrated so much better. And then there's SpeakerBot that goes with that, so you can do TTS stuff. StreamerBot uses Windows voice activation. Linux really doesn't have it. And it doesn't work if you're running StreamerBot in wine or bottles. StreamerBot voice activation is not going to work. You can try to build it into the bottle. Some people have said that they have success with it. It's just not worth it to me. And I created a script with the help of at the time was ChatGPT, where I use a software called Vosk, which actually is cross-platform. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And OBS CMD for commands. So if I go computer, right monitor, actually that works
Here
much
is the right
smoother.
monitor boss.
And I have a program then that reads TTS that I found called Speakaboo. Actually works much sweeter than SpeakerBot on Windows or StreamerBot on Windows. And it wasn't that hard. It's basically in a virtual folder, not a virtual window. Use Ven, which is like a virtual environment. It's got Python in it and that. Computer, main view.
Here is the main view boss.
So it's constantly running when I'm streaming. I don't have it on all the time. There's a plugin for the Windows OBS. You never stream like a streamer, just for friends or soccer streams, so I never use much plugins, but that's cool stuff. Voice activation. Yeah, I thought it's nice because you can show off a little bit. And I have, I can go into OBS and find my scenes. I use Touch Portal to view it by tapping and that. My side camera's not set up right. You can see my fat butt. I could do that. But if I'm talking and I just want to show off and say, computer left monitor. Now that time she didn't listen. Computer left monitor.
Here is the left monitor, boss.
And the TTS does respond. It just sometimes makes it easier if you're working on something and you want to do it. You just have a Stream Deck 5x3, but you have a lot of buttons, nice solutions to the tablet. Yeah, let me check this back to it. Computer, right camera. There we go. So I use two tablets.
Here is the right camera, boss.
This is one of my newer ones. It's running Android 17. It's running Touch Portal on it. Touch Portal in Linux works through an app image. And it's also there we go. I don't know why that keeps changing. And Touch Portal, you could have as many buttons. I did the paid version. It was like $15 for life. And as long as it's on my same Google account, I don't have to repay for it. I can move it to my phone and that. But this is a great way to do stuff for your stream. And $15 is better than a 60. What that 5x3 is like about $60 or so. This is my oldest tablet. It's a Samsung S2 Galaxy S2. I think it's got Android 7 on it, so it's pretty outdated, but it works great. It still runs a browser. So through StreamerBot, you can use a deck for, you can make a deck out of it instead of me having to go up into StreamerBot and finding the actions. I created buttons for it. You know, like, so I can do this, and have two cheap decks. Basically, the deck is a StreamerBot. It's a web page. It helps. So the good thing is, even though I have a different, I Touch Portal on Windows. When it hooks up, it hooks up the Touch Portal I have set up on my Windows desktop. Let's see. Let's go here and I'll bring up Touch Portal. There we go. So this is where you set everything up at. Basically, I have it split up, so all the orange here are like a soundboard. It's the stuff that I have a soundboard. If someone says something funny in the chat, those are toggle switches. My scenes, my main scenes are up here. If I want to run my background removal, which I'm using actually a plugin called Background Removal Light, which works pretty well. It still gives you a little, it's like Zoom in that, it doesn't work as well as NVIDIA, but it works well enough. In case of, a couple cases of, say, emergency, I have an emergency stop stream button in the corner here. Now, if I touch any of these on the screen, it doesn't change anything. It's for editing. It's just running on the tablet. So I have an emergency stop stream button because you never know what can happen. I've had too many stories of people having strokes on stream and they couldn't stop their stream. I'm hoping that I don't mess up the two red buttons, But then I also have for privacy, if I want to just turn off my camera for a moment, it's just by a touch button. Well, thank you, JJ. I am, my wife will tell you I'm the least organized person unless I care about something. And thank you, Kill. I appreciate that. I've learned from this in the past. So you can change the grid and make the button smaller. You can also set up different pages. So I was looking at making a food stream because I like cooking in that. And although I'm having problems with trying to get teleport to work, where I would run the camera off a laptop down in my kitchen with a camera on it, and then it would come up to my stream up here, and this would be streaming out. Now the deck on StreamerBot, like I said, is a web page, and then this will run. You can close this, and it just drops to your yeah, and I give old timers moments at times, and into your panel up here, and it would be in the Windows one too. So it's still running. It just hides, but I also have, if I need it, I have the deck on my web page up here, you know, as a thing. And you have to constantly sign in. At times. And then you start the deck here. So this is what the deck looks like, full web page and that. Now this will work if I hit the button on here. So this is just an active web page, but it's connected to your StreamerBot. Not anybody else can get it. Now you could probably make this to hand out to moderators in that. And the cool thing with the migrating is I use this as a saying. I keep StreamerBot is set up differently on both in a way because of where locations in that are. But the actions are the same. I keep everything the same. There's a couple that don't work. Like most of my TTSs don't work in Windows because of the TTS that I use in Linux. So these are easily transferable. Your touch portal is easily transportable. I also use Social Stream Ninja. But the only thing that I use this, now this is very multifunctional. You know, you can set up, you know, the chats on your web page or on your page and all that, or your screen. But the only thing that I actually use Social Stream Ninja for now is for the floating icons. So if you do a bunch of floating, you know, a bunch of icons, they'll float around the screen. Because I have not, outside of using Stream Elements, which I do not want to use, and then you can minimize that to the tray too, and it hides in it. And then StreamerBot is, since it actually is portable.
Welcome Present Arms and Linux to the stream.
Hello, Ali. Welcome. So touch portal, the StreamerBot deck, StreamerBot itself, of course, again, you have to change locations and that, are all portable. Your Linux is not, or your OBS is not. Now you can make a portable version, but again, it's different. Your Linux, Jesus, OBS on Windows, and a portable OBS on Windows is much easier to set up than on Linux. But you can find someone like Martin Wimpress that put together a portable OBS that one can use. And it just means that it actually would work on pretty much any system that you put it on. Maybe with some caveats there. But if you really don't want to rebuild your OBS and you just want to take all your scenes and export them and bring them into Windows, bring it into Linux. You just need to delete a few things. You just need to prepare, because actually adding audio back in, because you can export your audio, your filters from Windows to Linux. That, unless you're using VSTs, that could be an issue. But if you're using limiter, expander, all that on your microphone in Windows, those same plugins, because that's OBS specific, will work the same on Linux. So you can export your microphone setup and just rebuild the microphone. Again, Pipewire is different than what audio is on Windows and vice versa. So again, to make it easy, you delete all your audio sources, your microphone, whatever game captures, Windows captures of that you have, any audio sources that you're capturing, just delete them all. Those are easy to rebuild. So much easier than rebuilding everything. It is. So I did that from Linux, because I didn't want to start renaming everything in Windows. I just deleted, I backed up my Windows, deleted it out from OBS, imported my Linux setup, because I already had deleted all my audio sources, my display captures, Windows captures, and all that. And I also have a specific folder that I use. So these are all subfolders in my main. I created a OBS folder. So I imported this. I had one in Windows, was named differently, and I had it scattered all over the place. I just imported this to Windows, and I got my setup going the same. Everything was fine. The internal OBS plugin should work, but you said main problem devices, Linux versus devices in Windows, always different. Yeah, because when I did it the first time, I copied my Windows stuff to make my things in Endeavor OS a while back. OBS kept crashing every time I tried to delete. My display capture that I had. Now I don't do game, so I don't have game capture. It's usually display capture or window capture. And OBS would crash every time I tried to delete it, unless I went into safe mode and that. But by doing it this way, it saves time. And by doing that, I have a backup in case I move to, say, another system. There is a difference between Ubuntu and Arch, or Ubuntu and Fedora, like a Fedora system, RPM system, in that your OBSs are not going to be the same. Does OBS do relative linking paths, so you need to adjust everything by hand? The one good thing about OBS is if I do change a scene, like I have a bunch of nested scenes, nestable scenes I call them. If I change the name of this one, let's see, I'm not going to do it now while I'm streaming. But I have an SVO chat highlight, I call it. So I have it here. If I would change the main one, it would change the name, so it's linked that way. The main spots that they're not really linked in is like if you use something like StreamerBot, you have to manually change everything in that. What is in the newer version of OBS, when you add a source now, it shows you what sources you have currently on your scene. But if you're looking, like, I started deleting out, I'll say, all my audio capture. Now, in Linux, you're going to have audio capture, pulse audio, and then audio capture Pipewire. It makes most of my audio capture with Pipewire. If I click on this, it will show, well, no, of course I'm lying today. Well, that's output input capture. There we go. My microphone is on pulse audio. I should have it on Pipewire. It'll probably work a little bit better. But as I'm going through and deleting sources, I use this to see if it shows up, which means it's still somewhere. Like, I had a couple of scenes that I had my YouTube music in and an audio desktop capture, which I needed to delete. For me, this worked out well. It made it easier for me. And like I said, now I have, and I did this actually not in my Endeavor system. I did it on the Linux Mint system that I have, because I started wiping everything out on that as far as OBS goes, because it just doesn't work as well as I want it to, or compared to Endeavor OS. So now I basically created a backup that I can use in any system that I change. Just makes it easier, at least for me. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys out there. I should have been a Hollywood director. Yeah. But yeah, I've been having fun. So like I said, it worked out well for me doing it this way. Again, I learned the hard way. And because I see often on the OBS Linux forum on Discord, oh, I moved my system from Windows to Linux, and nothing's working right, or it's crashing, because they exported everything. And again, audio is different, and display capture is different. And until they remove those, they were going to constantly have crashing. Hopefully you have no time pressure for convert to Windows, so complex system. Yeah, well, I have a relatively big setup. I use a little bit more on the Windows side. I forget. I know I've deleted some, but on Linux I have 26 plugins. On Windows, I have 32. One of those plugins on Windows, which is there's not a Linux equivalent, it's called Auto Start or Auto Starter, where you add programs that accompany your streaming setup. So I basically use the same on Windows and Linux. So I got my OBS, but once I got OBS started and everything's ready to go, I'm going to start the applications with it. Now, instead of having to go and click on each application, there's Auto Starter, and it will start up YouTube Music for me. It will start up StreamerBot. It will start up SpeakerBot, and it will start up Social Stream Ninja. And did I say Touch Portal? OBS is already started, so StreamerBot, SpeakerBot, Touch Portal, Social Stream Ninja. Oh, and YouTube Music. So there's 5 apps that I have started. I don't have that on Linux. So I have a couple of apps that I created, or actually a script that then will start on Linux. I have it on my desktop here. Who did that? Who did that? I have a start stream tools and a stop stream tools. And DJ 506. That who did it? Have OBS Win and OBS Lin for each OS? Well, I could do that. I just call it my OBS because majority of the stuff that are in that one folder is cross-platform. I mean, it's all audio, video, HTML stuff that I have that I've collected from CodePen. CodePen.io is awesome. The scripts I have in there that work on Linux will not, of course, work on Windows, but Windows does run with Python. What's up, Mr. 506? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. But my Windows setup is going to go much easier because I've done this. And again, I now have a kind of a template. We can call it a template to where I can easily be. Now, DJ 506, forget about it. I don't know how you would export your system. You just mowed your lawn and now you're headed out to baseball with the kids. Okay, I hope they have a good game. I did my lawn yesterday. Oh, it was so humid out. I was soaking wet. I mean, never mind. I'm so, my wife's like, we're spending too much money on air conditioning. I'm sorry, it's going on. It was like 98% humidity yesterday. And then we had this huge storm this morning and got another one coming tomorrow. But it's great for my tomatoes. My tomatoes look great. Wrong stream platform for this contest. Soaking wet. Yeah, it was hot. I don't have a huge piece of property. If anything, it's maybe a quarter of an acre or whatever a quarter of an acre is. All I know is now at my age, it takes me forever to mow the lawn. I used to be able to do it in 45 minutes. Now it takes me an hour and a half. Ollie says no rain for 2 months where he's at. I owe Germany in the northeast Europe is going through the Danube is down to the lowest levels ever. Ships that were sunk during World War II are showing up. Unexploded weapons and such. Europe here is a hectare. $32C tomorrow. Yeah, we're currently at 25C. 81 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow is supposed to be 82. It's in the lower 80s. But we got rain. We had tornado warnings. Tornadoes touched down around Chicago. I live outside of Chicago. And we've had some storms. But I'll tell you, the garden, my garden is loving the lightning. So when there's a lot of lightning, then there's a lot of I've choked shit. I don't know why. I always want to say ozone. Lightning doesn't cause ozone. Lightning causes. Oh my gosh. You're watching a dumb old fucker, I swear. Um, Nitrogen. It releases nitrogen in the air. And my tomato, I literally had planted my tomato plants, and I had planned to trim them and start supporting them, setting up supports. Oh, in that week, we had 2 major storms. And by the time I was able to get to my garden, they already grew 2 feet. And at a certain point, you can't really trim off the if the branches are too thick. So now that it's really heavy, but I'm getting some great tomatoes. Roughly 84, if your math is right. Oh, your math is always right. But this is the first year I've really tried. Raising big boys and a couple of smaller ones, a girly girl or something like that, and some kind of baby boy, and a couple of cherry tomatoes. My jalapenos are coming out fantastic. You love a good toasted tomato sandwich. That sounds good. Yeah, I've been eating a lot of fresh tomatoes, you know. Gave away some to my neighbors. I had so many. And then my blackberry bush. I was so worried that the birds would get to the blackberries, but because we have a bird feeder in the backyard, they're more drawn to that than with than the blackberries. They prefer protein. I heard robins and sparrows. We got an abundance of robins and sparrows, but so we've been getting a good crop. Every other morning I go out and get a good bowl full of blackberries for breakfast. Made some good pico de gallo to go with chips in that. Some delicious. And I got some banana peppers because I love to take the banana peppers and stuff them with cheese and grill them. So, but yeah, we've had a rash. The tornado sirens went off twice this morning. Oh, you know, look out the window. It doesn't look that bad unless I hear hail. Sounds like you might be hungry. Yeah, I always talk about food, DJ. I always talk about food. But yeah, I really haven't had lunch yet. My son, he's at the gym. My wife is at work, and he was dragging his butt. I have an older son, but he was animated last night. He could not be quiet. Oh, he cried. It wasn't until about 1:45 that a 1:45 that I probably fell asleep. So our day is kind of dragging on here. So, but I made an omelet this morning with some pico de gallo and some sausage, melted and cheese. And then I plan to have gonna make some pork cutlets tonight. Actually, what is it called? German version. Pounded really thin and breaded. God, I am just going blank. Schnitzel. Pork schnitzel. And I claim to be half Austrian. What can I say? That is German, yes. I got my I already pounded. Oh, this is gonna sound good. I already pounded my pork and seasoned it. So I just gotta, I'll dip it in some flour, dip it in some egg, dip it in some breadcrumbs, and fry them. Wiener Schnitzel Acker Vienna style. Yes, we're gonna make ourselves some good Wiener Schnitzel. And I don't know why it's called Wiener, because it's not a Wiener. It's just pork. Oh, where's Andy when I need him? My friend from Germany. Though, I think it's YouTube, because I've never seen it before where the chat was going. I wasn't even, because normally the chat doesn't work on YouTube until you're streaming. But I kept seeing chat connecting, disconnecting, chat disconnecting, connecting, And I just looked on, and I have a laptop here that I keep an eye on the stream for. Andy from your channel. Yes, I know Andy from your channel has a big schnitzel. I think you like showing that schnitzel off, Graph. You asked me. So DJ, since you have such a elaborate, and please go do I have my auto shout out? If you are on Twitch, go check out DJ 506. He's a multi-variety DJ from Canada. And he has a very elaborate, if you think this is something, this is nothing compared to DJ 506. So DJ, with your setup, how do you back yours up? Do you have yours backed up? Do you have, at least with your scenes, do you have have you exported your setup just in case? What does your organization look like? Because majority of the streamers in my Linux community, they don't even come close, which is fine. You stream whatever way you want. All right, Ali, take care. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Because mostly Linux streamers are on older laptops and things like that, and they can't do a lot of this stuff. But then I meet people like DJ 506. That like to do a lot of stuff and use as many plugins in it. Only backups I have is whatever streamer bot does automatically. Yeah. I know Andy Lippy with his StreamUp setup, which you can get for Linux, but I can't. I would have to figure out how I can get it installed on Arch-based Linux. It's made for Ubuntu. But he's got a whole new setup coming to where he's going to have an automatic backup for OBS. Oh, sorry, Phil. Yeah, that's so, yeah, it runs about, usually, it's only supposed to run about 3 minutes. I do a 6-minute starting soon scene, which I'll run 3 minutes in that. So at the beginning, because then you're not missing anything. And then every hour. It's like it should only be 3 minutes, but I think YouTube's slipping more in there. Because either way, I know I'm affiliated. I'm not making a whole lot of money. That's definitely for sure. I don't even know if I cracked $20 yet. I just am bad. I don't always stop. I have these things that come up and tell me that the ads are running. So I apologize for that. Usually I might stop or so. But yeah, easily going through like scene collection and just exporting this. Now I did this on I should do this here. And it's just simple enough. I mean, it's just export. I'll put it in my OBS folder and the chat stream main JSON and click on save. So that way, if anything happens, as long as I got the right plugins and all that in, or I messed this up so bad, I can always delete this out and add that one back in. It's as simple as that. But I never did a single folder before. And I've been doing that, and I actually have been doing that for a couple of years now. But my Windows was all messed up. I had stuff all over the place. And I'm like, what? Why am I more organized in one and not the other? So, I can easily export my StreamerBot setup from Linux there, but I do have a lot of changes that I'll have to do with that. Just because of the nature, the difference of the two systems.
Welcome, hence, to the stream.
Hans Broski, I'm back to school today. College. Yeah, I think college, some of the classes should be starting up soon. My son's, he's totally done with college now. My wife keeps thinking about putting him back in for stuff, but it's like, you know what? Let's get him a job. College isn't going to help him at this point anymore. He's 30 years old. But it's been real warm here. I think a lot of the grammar school and high school kids go back this week. But yeah, so maybe I will do I keep. Oh, Phil, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Flame on!
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. First day of the year for school, and it's so I started a fire in Canada. Well, no, it wasn't me in Canada. No, I wasn't flying around. And then the Northwest in the U.S. No, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I didn't.
You're getting old. Took you 2 minutes to find an option. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't. I always feel I'm not monetized on YouTube at all. I've never been able to. In my 8 years, that's how bad I am. So I'm a horrible streamer, horrible content creator. I can't pass 860. Read the whole library, my son, but the cheese will still smell after. Oh, I have an audio. Oh, I got to change that. That's right. I used to have a TTS with that. So Banachek was a old detective series from the 70s, the late 70s. George Papard, I loved him as it because he was a Polish detective. And everybody got quotes and all that, but he had specific quotes on the show that made no sense. Like, read the whole library, my son, but the cheese will still smell after 4 days. You got to start reading more regularly now for school? That sounds like fun. I've been listening to audiobooks lately, mostly. I've currently been going through a Danish author, Jussi Adler Olsen. He does the Karl Malk, the series. I'm actually on book 7. Netflix did a Department Q. Netflix did a series on, or at least a 1-year series on it. But I'm really enjoying the audiobooks and that. It's kind of like cold case stuff, and Malk is he could be an asshole and all that, but I like the characters in it. They're getting really good. And I like the narrator for the audiobooks. It fits it really well. So it's a Danish author. He's from they're from Denmark. It all takes place in Denmark. I should read more. My wife, because she works at a library, why don't you pick up a book? And then you'll be yelling at, either I'm doing this and you're like, why are you doing that? Oh, you're reading again now? It's like, I can't win. A lot of times, though, in audiobooks, I kind of lose my spot or I get distracted and I'm like, oh, shit, I just missed something. But I hate going back and re-listening. I'll figure it out. Have I read books on stream? Oh, you mean like reading books on stream? Or have I read books about... No, I don't think I can do that. I am not a great speaker. You've heard me mumble and fumble through this many a times. Although I did when my son was in kindergarten, and I used to volunteer my time and read to the class, or take kids out and have them read to me, or I would read to them. And I remember doing they had a Christmas party, so I was reading a Christmas story. Was it the night before Christmas? And I tried to make it interesting. I think I scared the kids, though. Like when Santa came down the chimney, boom! But I don't think I don't know. I don't think I can go a long time with talking. Hopefully, if you're on YouTube, you're seeing them. Poor kids, yeah. Because then there were a couple other parents there. Of course, I'm the only dad. So there were a couple moms there and that, and I got a look. It's like, want to come over here and read? How? But in back, like, I don't think many people think about really backing up their OBS, and it is just kind of simple. Will the scene collection, if you export it, now there's the profile selection. I don't often see a difference, but I think just having your main stuff backed up to where if you needed to just start with a clean slate or move over to another, you know. If I ever really built from scratch again, I think I would build a lot of stuff without audio and other stuff in it and save it that way and then add the audio in afterwards. But I think it just makes sense. And like I said, it worked for me. It might not work for you. But yeah, deleting out any audio sources, any window display captures, any audio desktop captures. Whether you're going from Windows to Linux or Linux to Windows, just because they're not. Those are the things that are really going to mess up. And if you think that because you are in Linux that you're safe, that you can move everything to a Linux system, another Linux system, well, now you're looking at, are you on Wayland right now? Like Endeavor OS, I'm on GNOME, it's on Wayland. If I move to I did have a difference when I just exported my stuff over to Linux Mint, because that's an Ubuntu-based system. The window captures are different. Display captures are there's the X11 or XSHM, which is basically X11 capture, and then there's the Wayland capture, which actually works much better. Your audio comes through your own DSK downstream keyer, so you set up. But with the DSK though, you can only run one thing at a time, right? I mean, if I that's on my DSK, it just switches right away. Hey, Steve lit himself up. So you just set a scene with all your audio in it and then run DSK on it? Okay. So it's the tabs that are different? Phil says, I remember 2 versions before, I guess 30 or 30 to 31 or to 32, there have been a lot of broken plugins because something changed in OBS. Yeah, and I gather with OBS 33, which will be a major update, a lot of the developers are going to have to change that, especially I think in Linux. Oh, so you can run off of multiple tabs? I've never thought about that. I know Finite Singularity, his scenes where, his window where it closes a little bit or goes all full screen. Like when it closes, it's, he's got Finite Singularity flickering in the background. Because his the blur thing that he uses works perfectly off of downstream keyer like that. But when I tried it, because I tried to emulate his setup a year ago or so, and it used a lot of resources in that. Lately, what I've been doing too is, so like when you see I go to the desktop right, and then it takes a minute for it all to drop down, I'm actually got everything in the scene in a group, because the OBS team, I asked them to look at my, I had an issue one day. I believe it, they answered me in that. Outside of saying I had a lot of plugins, because I have 3 monitor captures, display captures, because I have three displays. And they said that's kind of, and even if they're not showing, they're still kind of running. So I added them into a group. And when I use Advanced Scene Switcher to change it, so if I go to my main scene, that scene completely closes until I hit it. And like if I do my desktop left, it comes down, that means it's just activating. And that has greatly reduced the amount of resources. I was looking at a lot of things that, even though I have close when not used, doesn't always work right. You feel like the help forums like to plug in shame us for having too many. I think their job gets really hard when multiple plugins are added. The comment has been, OBS is perfect just the way it is. Maybe just advanced seed switcher and you can do everything you need to do with that. That just tells me that, and as you listen to them, I think majority of them play games, so they don't want anything to upset that, and they just do a display or game capture. But yeah, they do like, oh, you have quite a bit of plugins. Yes, I do. If you didn't want plugins, you wouldn't allow people to make them. Why do you need so many? Because I do. They're fun, right? They add to everything. And are the developers always on point? No, but they fix it. It's so easy to reach out to Xeldro and Finite Singularity. I mean, those are, they got between the two of them, the most popular of all plugins. And for Linux users out there that use the Flatpak, he's got a few of them in a Flatpak, but now he's gonna do more. He did a list of things that he wants to have done, because a lot of it ties into the plugin manager that he is making to be in OBS. Or it's already there, it's under tools. So the plugin manager it only shows what's installed. Eventually you'll be able to browse them and update them through here. Oh, thank you. I try to play some decent music. If you're on YouTube, you won't hear any music. If you do, I'm screwed. Although YouTube is not, I've made some mistakes when I've been moving my systems around. Oops. And music has gone through, and they've all been copyrighted music, but I haven't gotten a strike. They just tell me that I can edit to take them out, or I just wouldn't receive any money. But I'd rather not have to deal with that on YouTube at all. But the problem too is I had screwed up on the VOD, and music went on the VOD because Twitch doesn't like music. You can do what you want during the stream, which I find kind of amazing on Twitch. But it ties in with the DJ stuff. Like DJ 506, he can't do a VOD of his stream. No one can watch his stream again. And now they're screwing around with reruns. But yes, RIP Shoes. The Cranberries are a great group. But I try. YouTube Music is a lot of collections and that, and I put together some stuff. And I use what do I use? I use a particular player that they've added plugins to, so I can hook it up to my Tuna player and all that. Which actually I wanted to change my waveform color. I like the coral that I got going on. There we go. There we go. I like the coral. It was nice. I came up with these. Actually, AI was helping me with something, and I said, just do a gray background for right now. And this is kind of like a grayish brown. I don't know how it came up with that, but it looks really good with the coral color to it. So, but yeah, I hope anybody watching this, how do you, if you watch this later on YouTube or whatever, leave a comment below. Let me know what you do to back up your system. Do you need to back it up? Well, Steve, I have no plugins and anything like that. I just got my camera. Well, okay, then you're fine. But if you do a setup and you do have multiple plugins and you do a bunch of scenes, what do you do? And does it work for you if you want to migrate? But I see so many in the OBS forum, the Linux forum, that are coming over from Windows that are totally blown away why things don't work the same on Windows and Linux. And that's just the way it is. Yes, I'm multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Twitch is my main platform. YouTube is just like for the because I'm not going to record while I'm streaming. It does, even though I have a decent system, it does stress it out. And I am not so hung up on quality. I do not stream 4K. But if you see me on Twitch, I am on YouTube at the same time. YouTube, the only difference is YouTube, you won't hear the music. Unless I'm playing, even if I'm playing, I have a couple libraries of royalty-free music. You don't get strikes off of those, but you get like warnings or notifications that you're not going to make any money, even though they're royalty free, and the creator has let you use them. But yeah, I just stream 1080p to YouTube. Twitch affiliates finally get to use the enhanced broadcasting. So on Twitch, you might see a better stream these days than before. But do you like 4K? Do you really want to look at me in 4K? Yeah, what are most people doing? They're on this thing, watching it on this thing, or they're on their tablet. They may be on or where 4K might come in on their TV if they're watching on their TV. Now, I would love to see DJ 506. I wish Roku would go back to having the Twitch app. I think they used to have it. But I wish Roku had the Twitch app. Because I would love to see DJ 506 in full screen. And there is my son. Speak of the devil. All right. Well, I knew this was going to be a little bit of a short stream because, of course, he dragged his ass and now he's done working out earlier. Wish he would get his license. Youth today, they want no responsibility, says the old boomer. But all right, my friend. So if you are watching this later, let me know. How do you back up your stuff? Do you have an idea? Do you have a plan? Does it work out the way I say that if you want to migrate, you know, deleting your audio sources and your display capture, window captures and all that before you do it? Because I would rather just put those back in than have to rebuild the whole system. Or have it crash on me because I can't delete them after I install them. But whatever. I don't have kids of your own, but I work with young people. We're all doomed. Yeah, but they say, especially to me, thanks, boomer. I'm constantly told how I've ruined the world. Oh, well. Oh, well. All right, my friends. Computer, time to say goodbye.
Thank you all for stopping by.
All right, thank you so much, new follower Kill Phil. Appreciate you and your bits. I do love that. Thank you. Thank you to DJ 506 and Han CCT for wasting some channel points. I gotta get SiriBot out of my moderator list. Thank you, DJ 506, for subscribing. Appreciate that. Over on the Twitch side, JJ, Following Steve, Kill Phil, DJ 506, Han CCT. Over on YouTube, why is my robot showing up? Total Less Today and Present Arms. We'll see you on the next stream. So I am going to try to be on tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing OpenGuessr, GeoGuessr. We're back to games. Wednesday, Thursdays, I do GeoGuessr. Tomorrow is Wednesdays Within Borders. I pick a country, and I got to figure out where I am, and I have 2 minutes to do it. Thanks for coming by, guys. Bye.